Well, specifically in the sunrise industry, in the high-tech industry, we have seen most of the companies gradually moving away from this formal annual performance system into something which is more agile. And let's look at a situation where the cricketer, a batsman, is given feedback after 12 months for a match where he was bowled out by a short ball. The player would not be able to get the context for the feedback versus where the feedback is given right after the match. Are formal performance appraisals outdated? I think yes. And if I look around myself, most of the companies have moved away from an annual formal performance appraisal and are moving towards something which is more agile, where the feedback is given on a real-time basis. With the old approach, what we have seen is at the end of 12 months, when the employee and the manager are sitting together and sharing what has happened in retrospective, it's like driving a car on a long journey by looking at the rear view mirror. Employee most of the time may not be able to give or get the context or the feedback, and that results in dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction leads to low productivity, and we often see attrition from this segment of employees who are not able to relate to the feedback. In today's world, specifically in the sunrise industry, in the high-tech industry, we have seen most of the companies gradually moving away from this formal annual performance system into something which is more agile. Check-ins. The thing which differentiates check-ins with the annual formal appraisal system is check-ins are more frequent in nature, which means feedback happens on a real-time basis. Manager in today's world is just not a manager. The role includes the role of a leader, of a coach, of a mentor as well. And as a coach, you have to ensure the employee understands what has to be done, how it has to be done, and how well he or she is doing the work. A check-in ensures the employee gets to know on a real-time basis if he is on track or off track, and if he or she is on track, how he or she can improve the performance much better. Check-ins, the more informal they are, the better they work. And we have seen that the more frequent the check-ins are, the higher is the engagement and satisfaction of the employee, thus leading to a much better productivity. Check-ins could be as frequent as once a week, and that helps a lot when the employee gets sufficient face time from their managers. The more they interact, the better is the social bonding between these two stakeholders. The more they interact, the more they get to know each other better, the more they get to know their strengths, weaknesses, the pressures from the job from both the stakeholders, and that ultimately leads to a better bonding and a higher collaboration. The more they discuss, the more the trust they build between themselves, and more honest are the discussion that happens between these two stakeholders, employee and manager. So we have seen that more frequent check-ins leads to a higher satisfaction and a higher productivity. Feedback giving is an art, and it's an art which has to be practiced by both the employee and the manager. If done perfectly, it does gives you the desired output. If not, it leads to dissatisfaction between both the stakeholders. There are different models that you would see around, which allows you to construct your feedback on any subject that you want to give feedback to the employee or to the manager. So one important thing is feedback is a two-way flow of communication. It does not necessarily have to be always top to bottom, but it always has to be both ways. So top to bottom along with bottom to the top. Only when the two parties are talking to each other, that's when the relationship blooms between these two stakeholders. So one of the models that we use, and something which is very simple to learn and practice, is called as the SBR model, where you say any feedback should describe the situation, should describe the behavior that was observed and the result of that behavior. And any feedback has got either a reinforcement objective, or it's about redirecting. Any behavior that you have seen was a positive behavior with a positive outcome, the feedback is still necessary to be given so that the behavior is reinforced. The employee demonstrates the same behavior more frequently. And in case the behavior is an unwanted behavior leading to a negative impact, That's the time when again a feedback is required to be given back to the employee or to the manager so that the behavior could be redirected. Now, when we talk about the reinforcement and redirection of the behavior, we extend the SBR model by adding the BR at the ends, right? So you define the situation, you define the behavior, you define the result, and when you want to reinforce or redirect the behavior, you do the same actions once again. Let's take example of a sport like cricket, which we all understand how cricket is played. We have a player who possibly plays across all the three formats of cricket, which is Test, ODI and T20. And let's look at a situation where this cricketer, a batsman, is given feedback after 12 months for a match where he was bowled out by a short ball. The player would not be able to get the context for the feedback and will lead to no output or no improvement in his batting stance or the way he would bat short balls, versus where the feedback is given right after the match. So there is a meeting where the coach sits down with the batsman and explains how he had faced the short balls and how he got out on a short ball, right? And when the discussion steers to a direction where the coach asks the cricketer, the batsman, how he could help himself to ensure that he can better face the short balls. With that agreed action, when the person goes to the net in the next morning, he can start executing on those agreed action. That would result him in a much better batsman and will be able to improve his techniques against short balls, right? So that's the difference when a feedback is given with a lag time versus a feedback given on real-time basis. And that's all about creating the agility and helping the person improve his or her performance and achieve the goals set against the position.